wonderful. Welcome, everybody. When I'm on Zoom, they announce in your head, right? We're alive, so you don't have that here. Welcome, everybody. It looks like we're live. Thank you so much for joining us. Maria's here. Hi, Maria. And I'm so excited. We just have. What's that? Do you hear that? Oh. 1 minute. I'm having something else play. Thank you. I had my YouTube channel open on a different browser and it decided to start screaming at me. Wow, it's a Mexican commercial right in the middle of this. So, okay, thank you. So we're going to dive into such a fascinating topic, and Maria and I are super excited because we're getting together. Happy full moon, everybody. It is a beautiful full moon. I spent the weekend at a different beach than I live, drumming in the moon and the sunrise and just having the most incredible time. So I hope that you are feeling these beautiful energies. Make sure that you subscribe below. You check out the links. We've got Maria's links down below. We've got a link to our retreat that we're doing in September on the full moon. So I love the synchronicity of how we're lining up the energies. And we are also going to be having the Oracle of the Week again this week. So we'll be having that every week, working with the Prosperity Magic Sacred Feminine Mysteries Oracle. So don't forget to do that. And so let me share real quick so I can tell you a little bit more about beautiful Maria. Hopefully you know about her. And last year I was so blessed. I was so honored to be able to go to England to be in a conference, to lead this incredible retreat, to have Maria join us for a few of the days. And so what's super exciting to me is that we're coming back, we're going deeper. So today we're going to talk about the secrets of Stonehenge. And if you don't know, Maria is the author of The Secret History of Stonehenge, which is it's such a heavy book. I read my books, I read them and I write in them and I highlight them and I use them as manuals and everything. And it's like an entire course, mystery school in a book. So make sure we've got the link for that. Make sure that you check that out and get that from her. Now, the full moon is going to be when we are in Stonehenge in September, and we have private access. So private access with Maria in the morning, the day before the full moon, I think it is actually, but we're going to be spending 3 days together. So we'll tell you more about that. I love this picture. I found this recently. This is of Maria last year when we were together. She was leading her mysterious universe, which you should check out as well. We'll make sure and put that link here as well. So this is our retreat coming in. The dates with Maria are 6 to 8, and then I'll be doing something further after that. But I really want to highlight this idea of Stonehenge and these sacred sites that are becoming popular now, that are becoming more known, that they're so much deeper. Maria is a master dowser. She has measured and done so much incredible, interesting work around the earth energies. And we are just scratching the surface. You know, I live here in the Maya land. I'm going to the pyramids all the time. Egypt and just all the different sacred places. And these are not just like, oh, they needed a giant stone calendar so they knew when to plant their seeds. These are amplifiers of energy, right? These are aligned with cosmic events, solstices, equinoxes, moons, full moons, and everything in between. These are acupunctures, needles in the earth. And then all that I'm learning in my master dowsing with Maria is these circles, the spirals, the lays, the currents. It goes on and on. This is such a living planet, and we're a part of her. So we have our meridians, we have our currents, we have everything we're doing. We're expanding the universe. We're creating realities. We're intersecting through time and space with the ancients, with these societies, these Neolithic and Mesolithic societies that had a completely different worldview, had a different way of understanding the energies of the cosmos, tracking time, but sacred time. Why does it matter? Because the energies amplify, because you can heal, because you can open a portal, because you can raise your consciousness, you can speak to other beings, you can talk to the Fae, you can speak to the ancient wisdom keepers. And in this case, I'm super interested in the rising of the sacred feminine, for us to come into balance, not for us to say, ooh, amen. We're talking about coming back into balance. We have to. However, because we've erased the history of most of the women and the matriarchal societies, a lot of these hold that. So one of the things I love about your book, Maria, is to talk about how the first phases of Stonehenge were as a goddess temple. And even with a bread oven, even with things that with the side hidden, built very specifically to not just have sacred geometry and amplify energies and have a sacred temple to do things and paint them different colors, but to actually have this intention of working our world, creating our reality in harmony with all of these energies. So these energies exist everywhere, even in your house and under your land. So we're going to be going to sacred sites. We're going to be going to some other sacred sites as well, of course. And I have many, many pictures, but I'm just going to share a couple. This was Maria last year. We were at the Abbey in Glastonbury. She was teaching us to dowse and to feel the energies. There's a vortex here. We did chakras of the earth. We were able to see a lot of wonderful things. It was just wonderful. So I highly recommend that you join us, because one thing I love about Maria, I love to go and to do these retreats and speak to the land and look at what are the energies that are happening now and what's coming forward for us in this year of the snake, right? In this year of massive transformation, metamorphosis, breakdown, whatever you want to call it. This is all for the highest good. We have to find and navigate our way through. So having a guide like Maria there, who's grounded and practical, but a beautiful goddess woman, a druid, who has this incredible wisdom and all of this experience walking the land, being with her father, because she's a second generation dowser. Okay, so many different European masters that she got to learn from and go to experiments, even now, filmings and scientific experiments, and getting to take a look deeper than, wow, I can feel the energy right here, which I can. But why not see and understand a little bit more of what the energy is, when it is activated, what it might be doing? One of my favorite things that you talk about is the harmonics and the colors and the music that exist in the stones, and that they can speak, and that all these other things. So in these sites, Maria runs tours all over. She's going to America's Stonehenge in a couple of weeks. She's got many, many books on sacred sites, dowsing, past life astrology. I think I have them all right here. And one of the other things we're going to talk about in a future show. So we're going to do a couple more shows with Maria so we can really get you this feeling of what we're going to do. And you can join us on this retreat, and you can call and you can ask for some questions. And we can bring together a group of people who are coming for the rarity of it, because this may not be available to us anymore. Things changing very quickly. We don't know how much access we're going to have to any of these sites. So we want to go now. We want to be in this energy now. We want to raise our consciousness now. We want to hear the call of our spirit in our heart now. We want to reconnect to the ancient wisdom of the priestesses, the queens, the future ones. We want to bring spherical consciousness back in. So when you understand that there was this lost culture of a murdered, really, culture of the long-skulled people, long-headed people in the British Isles. A lot of people know about it in Egypt, I think. And the idea that they were very much woven into what we think the Fae or the fairies are, and the music of the earth. Neolithic Britain, Bronze Age prehistory at Bath and Oxford University. And Maria is a druid who follows the Celtic path, and she's written many diploma courses. She's got the esotericcollege.com. She's got the AveburyExperience.com, and of course, MariaWheatley.com. And again, that should be below. And this is my photo of your book that I highly recommend that you get. Okay. It's just full of fascinating things. You could just have it like a treat, like a little biscuit with your coffee every day. So what we're going to talk about is that the secrets of Stonehenge, the goddess temples, and the lost healing centers, and all of the ideas that here at these sites, they have cosmic alignments, The true purpose is there. When we go there, we can feel it. We can activate it. Depends on what it is. That's why we're going around the full moon, because there's very different energies around that too. So I'm going to start with this, and then I'm going to turn the slides off. But I took this picture from your book. This is Maria's father. And he said, one of the best kept secrets of Stonehenge's geometric activation is the geodetic magic square. When it manifests in the earth, it becomes a gateway, and it can be opened, closed, or its frequency raised by these different powers. It's, it's been associated with Feng Shui, silently gives access to other earth realms far beyond its customary use in the art of placement. So this is just a little bit of a taste of the amazing energies and portals and gateways and all the other words that can be used for these energies. So thank you, Maria, for coming.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for having me. Yes, it was a wonderful day when I discovered the long-headed culture that had been not reported in the British Isles, and to be a voice for the ancestors after discovering them was a very special treat. And to look into the feminine side of stone circles, we all know, for example, that at Stonehenge, well, most of us do, that it was aligned to the sun, the masculine. But in my work, I looked to the fact that above Stonehenge, phase 1, that was when it was built originally 3,100 years ago as a massive stone circle of 56 blue stones. So visualize that, a stone circle with 56 beautiful, polished blue stones. That was Stonehenge phase 1. And directly above it at the spring equinox at midnight, when the sky is blacker than black, there was a constellation called Corona Borealis at the exact zenith. And in the Celtic tradition of the Druids, Corona Borealis was the goddess of reincarnation, Arianrhod. And so the first phase of Stonehenge was dedicated to reincarnation at midnight. It's a time at the spring equinox when you can release some of your karma, is one of the lost wonders of Stonehenge.
Isn't that amazing? And that was the thing is it's when a lot of these places were discovered, not the circles as much as the temples or the pyramids, but they thought, oh, they were palaces or castles or tombs. But nobody lived in these places, right? Because they were built for these very specific, powerful energies. And one of the things I learned from you is that often you don't need to stand in any of these spots very long to receive the energy.
Yeah, 30 seconds on some megalithic energy, because it's not like a human therapy. You know, it's been anchored into the ground for thousands and thousands of years. And what I always like is when you touch one of the stones at Avebury or other places that we're going to do, your ancestors had touched that stone. You're linking back into the past physically in the here and now, in the third dimension, and going into other dimensions as well that are timeless, and allow us to reunite to our ancient history and all of that knowledge that the ancients wove into their stone circles, and long barrows abound.
Yes. And that's what's so amazing. You know, I think about, gosh, when did I first go to Egypt? I don't know, about 30 years ago or something, you know. and being, you know, doing the mystery school work and the sacred, you know, energy work, but also 30 years ago we still had a lot lower consciousness, a lot less that we had understanding of, and you could feel the energies. You'd be like, I could feel it, you know. We'd go in the king's chamber and we'd have it just to our group, and we'd be toning, and the vibration, you know, it wasn't that you didn't know that there was something happening, but we had so much less understanding of what and why, you know, and how you've been discovering not just what the proper alignments of, but where the constellations were at the time, and how we're a map of the stars, and then the makeup of the stones along with the energy in the earth, and how this is like a fluid. It almost reminds me of the Mayan calendar. It's a bunch of interlocking energies that create their own sort of wave pattern.
that we are a part of. I mean, the whole thing with earth energies and different energy patterns that you'll be experiencing firsthand with Nan and I as we pilgrimage across the landscape and together, hand in hand and heart to heart. But we will actually be interacting with the energies, and you might be able to go away and find these in other locations yourself. And even if you didn't do that, you are anchoring into such an amazing energy field that it will literally fill you up with that energy. So think of it as like an interaction of mind, body, and spirit within these sites, and that's what you will go away with. You will go away with a part of Stonehenge, a part of Avebury, a part of Stanton Drew, the goddess stone circle bold, and you will go away. And what I have noticed when people go away with these different types of energy, for some, they can be life-changing. And so that's a great thing about these pilgrimages. They are life changing. And even though I've been to Stonehenge time and time again, I would like to think how many times I've been to these ancient sites, but they speak to me in a different way, in a different character each and every time. And if we take the time to listen, that can be the life-changing moment.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. You know, when you live very, very close to Avebury and, you know, most of these things. So you can go on a regular basis, or you can run over there at night, say, oh, look, I want to go stand by the Stonehenge, you know, moon or something like that. And I'm the same way. I've got one pyramid about 11 minutes from me, and it's not open at night. But I go regularly. I would say at least every 2 weeks I'm somewhere. And it's not like one site near me, the number one thing is the equinox. You know, the sun rises through the temple and it hits your eye, and they've been starting to open it at dawn. So you can experience that. If you go during a regular day, that's not happening. But every time I go there, I have a completely new experience. I have new energy speak to me. I sit somewhere, even if I'm sitting in the same Venus temple pyramid, I'll have a completely different experience. So yeah, they're so alive.
And the great thing about the stone circles and understanding on a deeper level some of the energies there, just by standing in a place where there's either megalithic energy or earth energy, can be twice as powerful as standing a few feet away. I mean, that's great as well. Just to be in a temple is absolutely wondrous. What's not to like? But if we just walk around in a particular manner and spend some time on particular earth energies, then we can experience the temple in ways that most tourists won't. They won't be experiencing it like that. And with the wisdom that we will have from Nan and my own contributions from the ancestors and the magical earth energies, I think it will be something very special. And as Nan has pointed out, this is the full moon. The full moon inside a stone circle. Imagine now looking up and seeing that moon and the lights casting itself upon the stones, and how the shadows seem to flitter and dance as they wake up your imagination and intuition, and like a key unlock something inside that will lead you to the path that you probably are already on, but it will guide you even deeper into some profound understanding, and it doesn't get any stronger than at a full moon at a goddess temple. I can't hear you, Nan. I can't hear you.
Thank you. Yeah, share a little more about the Stonehenge as a goddess temple, because there's phases, right? And then the original, even the way that they think it looked or the way that it was built, you know, like packing the chalk versus carving the chalk, and all of the beauty that you've discovered was there.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, one of the wonders of Stonehenge, when I look back, because I made so many discoveries, but one that I'm particularly proud of, for example, is how the goddess moon interacts with the bank. So if you imagine around Stonehenge, originally there was a bank about 6 feet to 10 feet tall of chalk white circle going around. Okay, now it's not a perfect circle, and most archaeologists think that's a mistake. No, it's a design canon. They have corners like this. So if you imagine it's a circle, but it's got a bit of a corner, then at the full moon, as the moon rises in this particular cycle that we're going to take you in, it's called the night of the high moon, because the moon can't reach any higher. And its light used to reflect off one of those corners of the Whitehenge bank, because it was made of chalk and highly polished, and the floor, as a witness in my legacy archives, said the floor originally was chalk white at Stonehenge. A beam of light would hit off that corner of the chalk bank and cast its way halfway across the monument, bathing a stone, possibly bathing a priestess in the light of the moon. And I got a mathematician to calculate exactly where that beam of light would end. So mathematically, it is correct. And all you need is a white chalk bank and a white floor. And Stonehenge had that. So we were being bathed in moonlight at these henge monuments, for example. So when I see the moon on high in its cycle that it's in at the moment, I always remember that possibly I could have been in a past life, and maybe you have as well. Think, does this resonate with me? Did I once stand in the moonlight? Was I once a priestess at Stonehenge? Possibly. If we get these call-ins, there's that beautiful intimate link that we have. And so I would say, listen to your heart. And I'm sure so many people of the past are recognizing their place in the ancient world, and looking back at their past lives is a good journey, and one which will give spiritual wisdom.
Yes, absolutely. You know, that it used to be finding your past lives was kind of like, is it true? Is it real? Could it be? Oh, that's interesting. Should I find them out? Oh, it's cool. And it's turned more into that we're this fluid, we're like a wave, you know, we're like a wave of time. We have a wave of experiences. We have a wave, and we can access those. So I truly do believe it, even with, you know, we're talking about with some of the political and government structures and social structures, how some of these sites are becoming available and some are becoming less available, yet people are waking up to them. The wisdom is rising. The people are talking about this. It's becoming much more in consciousness, even if people don't go to them, that they know something was happening, you know, that there was something calling. And then you feel that in your heart. And I know if you're here on my show, you definitely are feeling that call.
And absolutely, the moon, the goddess, featured so much at Stonehenge. So that's a couple of lunar effects. But the heel stone at Stonehenge, which stands just outside of the monument, it was said that the sun used to, and still does to some regard, rise above the tapering crest of the heel stone at the summer solstice. And thousands of people go there to witness it. But it's not is accurate as the moon. And again, what I discovered at the midpoint of this cycle of the moon we're in now, and I'll describe that in a moment, every 9 years, the moon would at its fullness and at its glory rise exactly to the exact degree above the tapering crest of the heel-stone. The sun is actually a few degrees out, as any archaeoastronomer will tell you. So there's another goddess aspect to the moon and to Stonehenge there as well. So it was literally weaving the moon into it and seeing that as the goddess, with the goddess of reincarnation, Arianrod, that I described earlier, at the zenith, like an eye looking down on the participants at Stonehenge. And do you know what Dowsing can reveal? It can reveal whether a man or a woman worked the stones. It leaves behind what's called a bionic charge. Now, I tested out every single stone at Stonehenge and many other sites as well. And the massive trilithons that stand in the middle. There was 5. I say there was an extra one that made 6. But let's just say they're in a kind of horseshoe shape in the heart of Stonehenge. Well, women worked those stones, and they are the healing stones at Stonehenge, so they have feminine charges about them too. And I'd like to think that they were worked by young women, mature women and mothers, And together they put in that healing resonance inside those stones, and they are the healing aspects of Stonehenge that the authorities don't want you to know about. It's very difficult getting private access, and it's getting difficult each and every year. So I would strongly recommend, you come now. We don't know what will be the rules next year. And what we can do when we're by these stones, we can reach out to the long lost priestesses that are on that energy axis line at Stonehenge, because they're barrows where they were buried, aligned to it. And we can do what we feel the group wants to do. If people want to chant or be led, or a Stonehenge will be guiding you to what you should or shouldn't be doing for your own grace. But it will be an amazing experience to stand by the priestess stones. So don't just think of Stonehenge as being moon, and it's actually had a priestess cult. And I discovered them. I mean, I unearthed them through knowing where they were buried, and they were the elites, they were the royals, they were the shaman, for example. And I can show you photographs of their skulls when you're over, and some of their artifacts as well.
Yeah. So like another theme that we'll go deeper into on another show is these lost queens, priestesses, and other women, long skulled, and the culture, the everything, and that they were mostly murdered, I think, right, across until they were exterminated and buried. And we'll get into that another time, but that they didn't fit the emerging patriarchal or hierarchical culture that was rising, that idea of ancients being wise, or women, or in charge, because we did go from priest queens, priest kings, even the ancient Maya, they were all trained as priests to a certain degree, because we needed to be divine and connected to the energies. Right? So well, then, so when you discovered these things about the stones, I know that there's a whole other side to it that we're going to look into again in another show, which is the energies, like the earth energies and the stone energies and the cosmic energies, and then how they interact, and just everything that it creates what we would consider serious magic. However, the heel stone in particular, what are the energies and composites of that if we're talking about this full moon alignment?
Well, the first thing about the heel stone, when we go there, because we're going to go and be introduced to the heel stone, it's at an angle, it leans. And so you've got the heel stone there, you've got Stonehenge not far away, and it's leaning, saying this is the sacred space, bowing to the sacred space. And you often find that in stone circles around the British Isles and in Europe, actually. So the heel stone leans into it. It leans into the energies that are entering Stonehenge as well, and it's marking one of those energy points. And it has like some of other rough stones, because they're not made into rectangular shapes. The heel stone stands as not a rectangle, so it looks different when you're at Stonehenge. But it has these areas that kind of release a spiral energy coming out of the stone. And what I show people when I'm there is we can mimic this with our hands, with our palms. They're receptive, they're minor chakra points, many would say. And we can put our hand by the heel stone and then follow the spiral pattern and feel the energy coming out. And sometimes it's nice to be doing that and then passing that energy on to Stonehenge or to another person if they need it. It's called energy transference in geomancy. So we're going to be experiencing some of the megalithic energy. That's energy coming from the stones. Megalith means large stone, literally. And that's one of the things we can do at the heel stone. And what I also like about the heel stone is like a guardian of place as well. So it's overlooking Stonehenge, it's watching you go in. And you often get these guardian stones at stone circles as well. So it's always a good idea to introduce yourself to the guardian stone before one enters. And we will go into the site of Stonehenge, the sacred inner circle, by following in the footsteps of the ancestors. We don't enter it like the other tourists in other aspects of Stonehenge would enter it. We follow in, we go through the avenue, we go through the correct way, and we walk around in a clockwise motion around Stonehenge. And stones will reach out to you. They reach out and they will kind of say, "Hi, I'm here. You know, come over and interact with me." So once we walk around the monument, that's anchoring you into the circular energies there, into some of the silent sound of the music there, because we'll be discussing that at a later date. Then you've gone around the monument, and then the monument can talk to you. And it's a beautiful way of entering Stonehenge. And it's also allows you to see every aspect of Stonehenge as well. Because if you just go to the middle, like most Western people do, they go straight to the middle, they have a look at that, they haven't interacted with the whole of the monument. And that's very important.
Yeah, well, you're interacting with a living, very, very living being, all times, all people who have been there, you know, potentially any time and space is all there in the same place, right, too. And I love that because it is a much more indigenous way of doing things. You know, I've spent a lot of time with the Maya and the indigenous Americans, and I used to live in New Mexico, and they don't knock on your door. They wait until you notice them and invite them in. You know, they come, they stand, they connect with the land. You know, even here where I live, even if they know me, they won't ring my doorbell.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely. And I think, again, you know, one of the wonders of Stonehenge are on the outside of the monument as well. So I'll be showing you the buildings that were inside Stonehenge. Yes, buildings. There was a D-shaped healing temples that housed a stone inside them. This was first discovered by Colonel Hawley at the turn of the last century. And later UCL, that's University College London, did some excavations in that, and I've reconstructed those and will show you where the healing temples were, and we will be interacting with their energies as well, and one of which is one of my favorites at Stonehenge. And many of us know what the triple spiral at Newgrange megalithic artwork looks like. If you don't, you can Google that in your own time, and you'll see a beautiful tri-spiral, like a triple spiral. And in the earth, imagine that energy in the earth, a tri-spiral representing, you know, the new moon, the full moon, the dark moon, past, present, future, and a lot of other things besides. That's beneath where that healing temple was. And then it got dismantled, and a mound was built over the top of it, smothering its life. And the stone that was inside the healing building was placed on the top. It's called a station stone at Stonehenge. It's one of the 4 station stones. And English heritage don't speak about that. You have to look at the rather long-winded archaeological reports that have been written about the excavations there. This isn't the information that English Heritage and other organizations want you to know about. So I'm going to show you Stonehenge like you've never seen it before, and allow you to see what's in the ground and feel it. We are going to stand in that place of the spiritual healing temple at Stonehenge. We might get some funny looks by anyone else watching us. They won't know. Why are you stood over there?
All the good stuff's over here. What's wrong with you, weird ladies? Yeah.
And we're going to be feeling that tri-spiral energy coming out of the ground, entering our beings, filling us up with healing energy. And it is absolutely beautiful, and close to being so close to the full moon, being in that resonance energy zone of the divine feminine, because the moon is very high in the sky during the past couple of years, actually, and it's kind of be ending around about the time of the winter solstice this year, according to astronomers that have kindly assisted me in calculating the moon's most powerful days. there. So we will be when the moon is at its most northerly, at its most highest, pushing down its energy. And it won't be doing that again, my friends, for 18.61 years. So you have to wait another nearly 19 years before this energy will be so high res at Stonehenge. So that's another reason to really come along and experience this. It's called the moon's metonic cycle, and it happens every 18.61 years. For those that want to Google it and do their own research into this, and it's a time when we can reflect back about our lives and then call in energy for the next decade and a half before us by being in resonance in the right place at the right time to experience the power of the moon upon earth energies and the monument of Stonehenge and other stone circles. It's a wonder.
Ah, it is. And this is my favorite thing to do. It's like you said or in the beginning, just to go there, even as a tourist, it's great. You know, it's like to go to a pyramid, you're getting the particles, you're in the place, even if you're not coming in a sacred way. Then you go in a sacred way. Then you go with this knowledge, then you go with this group, then you go at the moon, right? Then you keep adding these different reasons why going there is going to enhance the experience. It's not just, oh, photo op, let's go have breakfast, you know. It's this really incredible opportunity to harness the energies of that moment, where you are in your life, right? Where you are in your own life cycle and your own transformation in this metamorphosis we're going through as a community, as a collective, as a global planet. And then to harness these energies, this wisdom Maria has to know where to stand. This is the juicy stuff. This is the good stuff, right? To be able to go in a way that you honor yourself, you honor these women, you honor these voices of the ancestors, you honor the intention, you honor the earth. And what I love too is we amplify this. We're going to activate this, and anyone else who comes that day or even later, they may not know it, but they're going to get the benefit.
Yeah. And throughout the ages, even if we go back to the 12th century in England, there was a chronicler, somebody that was writing reports down of even more ancient history. He was called Geoffrey of Monmouth. And Geoffrey of Monmouth, I was in Monmouthshire last week, and he said, as a very famous quote, "No stone at Stonehenge doth not have healing power." And people realized the healing potential of those stones, and it was recorded from the 9th century onwards about that. And where do you hear about that now? No, they just say it's built by the ancestors. It's a place where they put burial deposits like cremations in what's called the Aubrey holes, and it was a calendar.
Calendar, yeah, that's what they do here. Yeah. Oh, they needed this giant calendar so they could know what was happening.
Yeah. A stick in the ground, which was used right up into the 19th century, would be able to cast a shadow where you could find it. You don't need a monument. You need
exactly.
But I mean, it was built for a healing temple. And I love experiencing the healing at Stonehenge and elsewhere. I mean, I really, really do. I feel it regenerates us, it rejuvenates us. It really gives us some kind of, it's a bit like megalithic fairy dust. You're going to get that sparkle when you come away. And that's what I love about the megaliths. They give and they give and they give. So we're going to go into those healing stones. I'm going to show you one of the lost wonders of Stonehenge. What's that? It's a stone that used to produce water. Nobody knew how. Nobody understood why, because the curator, I have inherited all of his write-ups about Stonehenge. He was widely respected. He was a curator at Stonehenge for 25 years. He knew Stonehenge, and he kept reporting that even in a drought, one stone would fill up from the inside and start to release water. And that was regarded as healing. So I'm going to show you where that place was. Why isn't it so well known now? It was written out of history by the Ministry of Works in the 1950s. So I'm going to show you parts of Stonehenge that you won't hear about anywhere else. And we must pass on this wisdom to our children and our children's children. We cannot just listen to one report telling us it's all about the sun's placement around the time of the summer solstice. That's just one of the aspects of Stonehenge. And when I have a healing experience at Stonehenge by one of the wonderful healing trilathons, it really does feel like it's helped to balance, and it's helped to restore our energy to how it should be for me or you. We're all different. Stonehenge will give you something a little bit different, but you will experience it, and that is such a grace when that happens.
Yeah, absolutely. It is. And I love what you just said about we must pass this on. The oral traditions, of all cultures, that has been primarily one of the main ways to preserve this, because I'm going very deep into the Mayan culture and the history, and that, all the things that have happened, like many everywhere else, where people erased them or killed them or whatever. But the thing is that they were like these ancient cultures. They tracked the stars. They were the best prophets. They knew when a time was going to come when their culture would end. They didn't know how, they just knew it would come. So they prepared. And they've been passing on an oral tradition, even though in Guatemala they spent 30 years trying to kill each other, people who were passing on the oral tradition. So, but that's why we have to. That's why the things that you're discovering, the things that you learn, if you go there, you pass that on in whatever way you find relevant. You embody it. You bring it to your life. You take these energies home. You enlighten other people with them. You pass on that energy, whether you're intending to or not. You're bringing this wisdom. And I think that is going to be, because the wisdom's just rising up out of the stones at this point. It's like coming to people, speaking to people, we're dreaming it. So we may have some barriers with the officials, but we can do this. And this is really powerful.
Absolutely. And what some people don't understand about Stonehenge, it's one part in a much wider ceremonial landscape. So as well as Stonehenge, we can be able to see the other aspects, such as the Cursors Monument I described to people. Sadly, it was ploughed out in 1724, but after it was recorded by William Stukeley, a very famous antiquarian. Now, William Stukeley drew it. He drew what he saw. So imagine that you're looking away from Stonehenge into the field just opposite. Okay, just imagine that you're doing that now. And before your eyes was a rectangular structure made of solid chalk, glowing white, that was 1.75 miles long, that originally stood in front of Stonehenge. They're called Cursors monuments, and they were built by the long-headed people. And so we're going to have a look at the much wider environment, and we're going to go to Woodhenge, which is a timber structure not that far from Stonehenge, about 1.5 miles away as the crow flies. And we're going to have a look at their settlement, where they lived. The people that built Stonehenge, where did they live? They lived at a place called Darrington Walls, and we're going to go there as well and have a feel of the energies, because they are going to feel very different from Stonehenge. And then we're going to go to what's called the Cuckoo Stone. And it's called that because at midsummer there's a myth that a cuckoo used to land there and sing its song. But it's above a very, very powerful form of earth energy, and I'll show you how to work with that type of earth energy there. So we're going to go beyond Stonehenge. We're going to understand that it was part of a huge, magical, ceremonial landscape, and it was the time, the moon's metonic cycle. Remember I said it only happens every 18.61 years. And when we are there on the night of the high moon, it's always deemed the night of high magic, then and now, past and present. So we will be able to activate our own magic at these sites because they are receptive. They will welcome us and they will guide us and they will help us to create our own magic as well. Like I said, I always think it's past and present, then and now. And it's linking us together on the nights of the high moon.
Yeah, I love it. I'd activate our magic. It's just like the ultimate, and with the rise of the sacred feminine, across the world, needing that. This is a chance for you to not amplify it just for yourself, but as our group, right? And then as a collective and to everyone that we have. And what other thing that I love about you, Maria, is how, when you started to discover these queens, and you found their skulls and you got to see them and you communicated and you connected to them at this other level and said, I will be your voice. I get emotional. I want to cry when I think about that, because it is, this sacred wisdom. So much of this has been covered up from whatever reason. And now to give voice to this, to be a channel for this in whatever way that is, you may just get your own image and it changes how you interact with people. Maybe you bring a different attitude, a different loving perception. Maybe you see someone in a different way, so we can be the voices and we can connect it because these energies are so powerful. You're going to be connected things way beyond what you normally do. And with our group, we'll be amplifying it.
Oh, absolutely. And the beautiful thing, and it is a beautiful thing, when I first came eye to eye with the long-skulled High Queen of Stonehenge, as I coined her, because she was such an important person in that time span, it was like linking back to the past and seeing a long-lost civilization. It's a long-lost civilization. I mean, we think of these civilizations as being Atlantis, Lemuria, but they are much, much closer to us and accessible because they were of the British Isles, the long-skulled people, as indeed certain writers like Lewis Spence said the Atlanteans had long skulls. I mean, that's very controversial because nobody's found one. But nonetheless, I think it does link, and it links into Egypt and to Malta. These were long-skulled people across the world. And also what I'll be showing you is how where they placed their long barrows, that's where they were interned. There used to be temples and then they were used as burial places. They are all interconnected with earth currents and lays and places of power. So think of, the ancient sites as being power places. Then I think we will understand the harmonics there a lot better. And by harmonics, I mean the kind of earth energies, the musical resonance I will be discussing with the group. But it is important to experience it in your own way as well, in your own way, and then discuss that with the group, because I'm Maria, I might go to one, be attracted to one stone, you might want to go to another one, and I want to understand it, so be guided by yourself as well. So we're going to be a group, but we're going to be casting our own magic and understanding the stones in terms of our own personal experience, and that's very important too.
Yeah, definitely. So on that first day, we're going to do Stonehenge very, very early and Woodhenge. And then we're going to go to the Wells Cathedral and see some other aspects of this kind of energy with the Venus pentagram. Right. And I talked about that the other day. Did you want to mention anything about that?
Yes, I mean, we're one of my colleagues, Tom Bree, he's written a book, Cosmos in Stone, that's all about Wells Cathedral and the sacred geometry that he's discovered there. And the high altar, most people would think is dedicated to, to the Christian consciousness, the Christ consciousness, for example, or sometimes a saint there. But as Tom discovered and uncovered and realized, it was dedicated to the goddess.
I love it.
To Venus, and all the sacredry there equates to the pentagram of Venus. What she kind of draws in the heavens above, in her transits and movements around the heavens, should draw out a pentagram, which is, very sacred. And that's what Tom discovered there, the hidden goddess that lies in the altar of Wells Cathedral. And again, most people think of these places as being, of just the Christ consciousness. But here we have the goddess consciousness within the heart and the holiest of holies in a Christian construct. And we will have Tom as a guide as well. And you can't get better company at Wells Cathedral than Tom Bree. I've been there with Tom before, and I know Tom, and he is such a kind, loving soul. You'll just love Tom. He is a gentle, knowledgeable person that loves to share his discoveries of Wells cathedrals. We're so lucky to have him. We really are. He's a very busy chap, but he's doing this especially for the tour.
Yeah. So we get a private tour with him, and depending on church activities, we may even be able to get to do a meditation in the church somewhere. So I love that, marrying these things and seeing that sacred feminine still running through things where we don't particularly expect it. So, well, before we wrap up, let's touch on Stanton Drew and what's the other one?
Stony Littleton.
Stony Littleton. So the next day will be the full moon, the full moon. And we're going to be going to these other two sites that have a lot of really amazing sacred feminine energies as well.
Yes, Stanton Drew is a huge megalithic complex that contains 3 stone circles. One of the stone circles is dedicated to Earth, one to the moon, and one to Venus. They are all of the divine feminine planets of our solar system in one place. Yeah, normally it's the moon or it's the sun, for example. But here we have all of the feminine consciousness in the solar system right in front of our eyes. And I calculated quite a few different lunar beautiful sites there. We are going to be there. We are going to be at the Temple of the Moon, watching the full moon rise. And also with Stanton Drew, it contains stones that have never been re-erected and set in concrete. That happened at Avebury. It happened at Stonehenge. No stone at Stonehenge has been tampered by man. And bear in mind,
Stanton Drew.
Yeah, this is at Stanton Drew. And so I always take people to one of the avenues because you can feel the heat rising from the stones. Yep, you will feel heat rising from the stones. It's an absolute wonder. And in my archives I inherited from other master dowsers, they also claim that beneath Stanton Drew, as I believe at Stonehenge and I know at Avebury, there were tunnels. So we need to think of below the ground and above the ground. The stones there are slightly pink hued as well. They are divine feminine. There's one which you can sit on and look up to the Temple of the Moon. And it has what's called a cove feature. And guess where the cove feature is? It's in a pub beer garden. And the pub, which we're going to be probably having lunch in, is called the Druid Arms.
Oh my gosh, that's fantastic.
So that's going to be fun. And we're going to also go to what's called Stony Littleton Long Barrow upon that day. And Stony Littleton Long Barrow is one of my favorite long barrows because it's like entering the womb of Gaia. You have to, don't wear your best clothes, wear your scruffy clothes, because you'll be on your hands and knees, not for that long, but you're going to crawl into this deep monument, going deeper and deeper and deeper into the monument. And I always say where one of the high priestesses of Stony Littleton was interned at the later date when they were used for burial. First of all, they were temples, then they were used for burial. And I've also had a wonderful artist called Maureen Walton, and Branwen Maureen Walton, because she had a Druid name, so forgive me for saying Maureen to begin with. And she drew one of the long skulls to the spec that I had been given from archaeological reports, and she had a very unusual face, because there was an indentation coming like down where your hair parts, coming all the way down the nose here, as an indentation. Whether that was scarred deliberately or whether that was natural, I don't know, but I do know that the skull contained that. And what we must realize about these ancient sites, the ancestors never left. They are still there. And so each time I go there, I take a picture of her and I place it and return it into the chamber where she once rested before the archaeologists excavated her and took her to a university where she is now. So it's about remembering as well, and honoring the past, and knowing that their energies are still there. And at Stony Littleton, we have energies that emerge from the ground. Yeah, they come out of the ground. It's a very rare earth energy pattern. And where you get this type of energy, we can obviously stand above it, but we can also birth and change our life as the energy comes up and it's emerging from the ground. It's giving birth to the energy there. And we can wrap that kind of same theme up in our lives and feel the energy there, and then put you in a place where there isn't energy, so that you can feel the difference and start to recognize this type of emergence earth energy. So it contains some earth energies that you won't find at Avebury, you won't find this at Stonehenge. It's quintessentially Stony Littleton Long Barrow, and it's a lovely, lovely place, and it's a place of true healing, and it's a place of transformation, and it's a place of giving birth to a new aspect of yourself, or ringing in a new chapter to your life, or raising your intuition, all under the presence of one of the most powerful priestesses of the past. She who was at Stanton Drew and Stony Littleton, I believe, casting her magic. And again, think of it like I said before, then and now, past and present.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we're the one in the middle. We're bringing these together, you know.
Absolutely.
We're marrying all of this into something that we can create. So, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I'm like vibrating. I feel like the full moon is just like going out and amplifying this and creating this tunnel of light, opening this pathway for us. So if you feel called to come with us, feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to talk to you about anything logistics, you know, payment plans, however you want to do it. And make sure I've got the link here. It's below as well. If you're on my list, we'll send out more. And I will let you know about the next couple of dates that we'll have Maria back to go deeper. So we have then a third day we haven't even talked about yet. And we're going to talk about more of these secrets, more of the energies, more of these things that have been hidden or forgotten or lost, because we're mystery solvers, right? We're ancient mystery solvers of these sacred energies. So, well, thank you so much. This has been incredible. Is there anything else you want to share before we close today?
Well, have a glorious evening or day wherever you are, because I'm on London timeline and I know Nan is on Mexico timeline. So, you know, tune in, feel the energies of the full moon, and then imagine what it would be like to be at a sacred site and be blessed to be in that energy portal area. And have a really happy time. And the one thing I will say just before we depart is we have a happy time together in a loving, caring space. Yeah, it's happiness, it's joy. The joy of being in a power of place. So it's not all going to be facts and archaeology. It's the joy of being in a place. Yeah. And I always think that's so important. So I'm always joyful within these sacred places.
Yes, absolutely. Well, you're going to get the information, but we're going to feel the energies and to have this wisdom to know where the energies are and how to do them. But everything that you've described has been just given us such a vivid, sensual feeling of what we're going to experience. So I already feel like we're there, we're connected, we're talking to that moment. And okay, well, let's all just take a nice deep breath in. And bring all this wisdom, all these energies, all these goddesses and stones down into your heart. Bring it into your energy centers and through your body and your meridians and down into your earth. And ask for the divine energies of this moon and these sacred ancestors, these beautiful goddesses, these healing energies from all these different times and places to come to you in whatever way is optimal for you in this moment. And we give great thanks for this beautiful gathering, for this beautiful doorway that's opened for us today, for Maria and for everyone, for these ancient lost goddesses, to these temples, to the wisdom of the moon and the sun and the earth, and all of these beautiful guardians of place. May we come together in harmony, peace, joy, and love, and spread this. And so it is. May this circle be open, yet unbroken, and the beauty and luminous energies of this full moon walk with each of us with every breath and every step. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right. Thank you so much, Maria. Thank you, everybody. And make sure you watch. I did a show last week and I shared some of the cathedral, some of the Venus pentagram, some of the information on it. We did a meditation with that. And I'll be doing some meditations with Stonehenge, going to these different places as we move towards this. So make sure you stick around. And thank you so much for sharing and have a beautiful day.
Thank you.